Hi everyone, welcome to today's video, which is this Strikemaster Mk.80/86 by Matchbox. Now I've bought this to go along with my Airfix Jet Provost build, and what I will probably do, so the Jet Provost, what I will probably do is build them side by side and do a video. But what I'm just going to do is go through the box. So this box is dated 1986. It looks like it cost £2.50 back in the day. So Matchbox, Matchbox went over to these tricolour with the black stripe and tricolour stripe boxings. I think, if I remember rightly, after Revel purchased them. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know in the comments. And essentially this was kind of like the start of the end for Matchbox models. So you get great artwork of a Royal Saudi Air Force Strikemaster on the front. On the side it is just literally some information in English about it being a plastic kit, and then multilingual. It says it's a skill 2. On the ends is just a picture of the aircraft and what it is, so it's repeated on those ends. And then obviously you got the traditional Matchbox picture of a completed model in the in this case 2-colour scheme. Some of them were 3-colour schemes. So that's the kit. If we bust it open, you will find a decal sheet, of which the decals appear to not have weathered significantly well over the years. But having said that, they're not particularly raised, you know, for their age. They're not particularly raised. They don't seem to be too bad. Obviously they're not cartograph, which is kind of like the standard these days, but those are the decals. We'll have a look at the plastic in a minute. Let's have a look at the assembly instructions, which was this little trifold sheet. Now, as was suffered by a lot of kits in those days, they were very basic, and this is borne out in the instructions here. Literally you have a twin seat for the pilots, which then just goes straight into the cockpit area. There's no cockpit tub, there's very little detail, there's no joysticks, etc. Moving on, we then build the engine air intakes, which then go onto the side of the plane. The tail plane assembly goes on, and then the wings. And then if you are adding the undercarriage down, you add that at this stage. And there is a call out early on in the instructions to add nose weight if you are having it with gear down. So very simple rocket armament here. I'm not too sure how accurate that is. I may look and see if I can find some aftermarket parts to perhaps enhance that. But there you go. You then have a colour call out and colour call outs for individual parts, which Airfix was really good. Not Airfix, but which Matchbox was really good for. And then obviously just a little bit on the front of the instructions, giving you technical specification and a little bit of the history of the aircraft. So there you go. Let's have a look at the plastic, shall we? So the plastic, you get 2 sprues of a beige and a kind of like a grey, and then you get a clear plastic. Now this is actually, this cockpit glass, the ribbing is actually raised really well, so that should take to masking quite nicely. So see if we can get that You can hopefully see the frame of the cockpit there. Obviously, unlike the Matchbox kit, it doesn't come in separate pieces. But let's just have a look. So on the T4, this is the Matchbox frame, and on the T4, if I get it around the right way, I'm assuming it goes that way round, there's actually a centerline spar for the cockpit canopy on the T4, which is missing on this particular aircraft, but it was a Mark V. I believe this was a Mark V aircraft. So let's also have a look at the plastic airframe. So the airframe is a mixture of raised and recessed panel lines. I'm just having a look to see. So this is dated inside the aircraft fuselage as being made in 1973. So I would say that the airframe is of its time, so with raised and recessed panel lines. I may try and using the T4 as a example, not a template, but certainly an example. I may try and see if I can replicate panel lines which are raised on this piece of kit. So let's have a look at, I'm just going to overlay this onto the airframe, and it seems to have a slightly longer nose. So if we do this as a comparison, it seems to have a slightly longer nose. The wing stubs, there's obviously difference in cockpit, etc. But yeah, next to the T4 done by Airfix, the recent moulding by Airfix, that's your comparison. Looking on the inside, absolutely nothing apart from just a brace to put the cockpit seats into. But like I said, it's raised and recessed panel lining on this, so I may try and scribe that and see how we go. Looking at the wing assemblies, and now obviously this is the older style where you built the two wings up separately and then glued them in using these little tabs here, which obviously potentially could cause problems if you weren't able to seat them correctly to get the proper wing alignment. But again, looking at the underside, so these two wings here, potentially they seem about the right size. Just going on a top over. And then the other side. So I kind of like get the impression that many of the Matchbox kits were probably more toys than serious modelling projects, although you could make some fantastic builds from them. Again, raised panel and some recessed panel lining on the aircraft. And then looking at the upper wing stage, so again just putting it over to give you an example, and looking at potential panel lining in there. and obviously the underside of the flaps, which go into these recesses along here. Landing gear seems to be fairly basic, although they are kind of matching. So they're kind of matching, similar, but instead of having the flap molded onto it like the Airfix one does, they're both separate on the Matchbox. So that's the Strikemaster, really, as it is from Matchbox. The rear tailplane is a separate piece in the same vein as the Matchbox version, and again similarly sized, but obviously slightly different proportions with regards to exact curvature of certain things. The question is, if I was to perhaps maybe try and cast some of the Matchbox, the Airfix interior detailing to go into the Matchbox kit, would it fit? I might try and give that a go. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. But there you go. That's the Matchbox Strikemaster jet. I will build this. I will try and look for some aftermarket decals to perhaps maybe make this an RAF Strikemaster. But there you go. Let me know in the comments if you want to see me try and recast some of the interior detail from the Airfix kit to try and fit into the Matchbox and hopefully give it a little bit more interior detail. All right, hopefully I'll see you on the next one. All right, take care. Bye.